What's good, everybody? Takeshita back here with another wrestling review. Today we're going to do our top 10 of November. November was one of the strongest months of the year, I thought. I had over 10 matches that were 4 stars or above, so we got a 4-star honorable mention. Let's jump right into it. Along with that 4-star honorable mention, I had 6 3 3/4 star matches. I wanted to give those a little shout out. Probably not going to put the graphic up or give much of a review on them, but I wanted to shout these matches out. Speedball and Kevin Knight taking on Masquerada Dorada and Neon from cmll 1121. From Full Gear, Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express taking on Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks. From Dragon Gate's show on 11/6, you had the King of Gate first round match, Roya Tanaka and Homare. From the November 3rd DDT show, you had the Takeshita and Takeshita Doppelganger tag team match of Kasai Takechi and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Kozusada Higuchi and Takeshi and Masada. From Dragon Gate show on the 2nd, you had Roy Tanaka defending the Brave Gate title against Billy Ken Kid. And from the C2 tournament for AEW on the Collision show on the 27th, you had Pac taking on Mike Bailey. Alright, so getting into our honorable mention. From the November 2nd Dragon Gate show, you had a 4-way trios match between the Psypatra team, Shun, Skywalker, Homare, El Cielo, Love and Peace, JackyRiiita, and Hyo. The Natural Vibes trio, Strong Machine J, UT, and KZ. And then the Gajadokuro trio of ISHIN, Kota Lee, Kota Minoura, and Jason Lee. I thought this was a blast. I thought this was like your fundamental Dragon Gate match. 12 guys in there just going lightning speed. No breaks, no lulls in the action. I think I'm the high man on this. Not as many people seem quite as high on this match because the energy got sapped out when Psypatra went out. They were first eliminated. I thought even without the Psypatra element of it, there was still enough going on. And the second half of the match didn't really lull, in my opinion. So I thought this was a lot of fun. This was a good, fun sprint. Just a smidge under. As I was checking out stuff to end the year, this got bumped off the top 10. Otherwise, Shun Skywalker would have appeared on this list 3 times this month. Coming in at number 10 from CMLL show on the 23rd, you got Masquerada Dorada versus Komander. I thought this was one of the more incredible moves matches I've seen in a while. Moves matches, for lack of a better term, were my favorite matches in my early 20s and late teens. I've grown more as a wrestling fan, but I'm not quite as fond of it. There was no story at all in this match, I would say. It was just 2 guys that do cool shit, doing a lot of cool shit. And they overcame lack of psychology by just being crazy and pulling out shit you don't expect to see. This would be one of my highest recommended matches, even though it is number 10. Because there's going to be spots in this that are crazy. If you can find the clips on Twitter or whatever, maybe that's all you need to do it justice, but I thought this was a real fun watch overall. Like I said to start the video, these opening matches are all 4 stars, so the honorable mention match was a 4-star as well as this one being a 4-star, as well as number 9, which was Kevin Knight taking on Darby Allin from the C2 tournament on November 26th. I thought this was the best C2 match from the opening week here. And my favorite Kevin Knight match I've seen of his young career so far. I haven't seen a lot of his independent work, so I'm sure there's something better, but I thought this was his best match in AEW. Darby Allin, I think, is made for this kind of stuff. As a tournament wrestler, he can tell a lot of stories the way he wrestles and the way he'll carry injuries into the match. Bringing in those blood and gut scars plus his battle from Pac for the pay-per-view a few days prior, that really helped tell the story of the massive upset that Kevin Knight had, despite the way the match played out, making Kevin Knight feel his equal. I thought these were 2 young, hungry guys, and they really delivered and showed out here. Coming in at number 8 from AEW's Full Gear, you had Mark Briscoe taking on Kyle Fletcher in their 6th match in their series. This was a no DQ match, and Full Gear kind of suffered for me as a fan, and maybe the AEW pay-per-view I was the least excited for. It also followed a no disqualification match between Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly. I was also working a little bit during Full Gear, so I didn't have my full attention, so some of these matches are probably 1/4 star to 1/2 star lower than the consensus because I was watching it distracted. The Las Vegas Grand Prix was also going on, and I wasn't interested enough to really go back. But I thought this was the second best match on this pay-per-view. If I were to rewatch it probably would end up being better than 4 stars. These 2 just have good chemistry. I think their worst match out of the 6 is probably like 3 1/4, or 3 1/2, 3 3/4. Most of them I've given 4 and 4 1/4. This was no different here. Mark Briscoe gets the win here to even the series up. I would expect match 7 to be coming up relatively soon, maybe even at World's End. Kyle Fletcher is in the C2, but I think there's a real possibility he gets knocked out and doesn't make it to the semis, and then you just run back match 7 at that pay-per-view. Coming in at number 7 is what I think is the best match from the King of Gate tournament thus far, which is Shun Skywalker taking on Naruki Doi in the opening round on the November 6th show. Naruki Doi is one of my favorite all-time Dragon Gate wrestlers, and Shun is the ace of the company currently. And I think despite Naruki Doi being at the tail end of his career, celebrating 25 years as a wrestler this year, I thought these guys really showed out, did a hell of a sprint for a 9.5 minute match. This was very hard hitting, very fast paced, very little lulls in the action. And I think this was just two of the best wrestlers in the world doing what they do best. Coming in at number 6 was the match of the night from AEW Full Gear, and that was the tag team title match between Bandido and FTR. I think this is AEW's probably P tag teams of the year, and FTR and Bandido going at it. You could tell when they wrestled on TV a few months ago that they were reserving some stuff for pay-per-view. They were in a triple threat match with the Hurt People, which was pretty good. I think that was the Hurt People's best match of their AEW career, but they were still anchored down by those guys. So the handcuffs were fully off in this match, and you had 4 of the top guys in the world. FTR, arguably the best tag team in the world. Personally, not my top tag team, but a lot of people's. And then Bandido was on the short list for Wrestle of the Year this year. I don't think he would top anyone's list, but I think he's probably in everyone's top 10. And Brody King's no slub either, and it's probably in the prime of his career. So this is when AEW is at its best, when you got people in the prime of their wrestling career wrestling each other in big spots on pay-per-view like this. This match is very high on cage match, and this, like the other Full Gear match, I think upon rewatch, I'd probably bump this up a quarter or half a star, because I wasn't fully locked in, and a lot of stuff that I was watching out of the corner of my eye was awesome. So I think this would be worth checking out. Bandido's got a lot of great stuff this year. Because it's FTR, I probably wouldn't like it as much as the Okada Takeshita match, because those guys are more my speed. But really, really great stuff nonetheless. Coming in at number 5 is Konosuke Takeshita defending the IWGP title against Hiroki Goto on the November 2nd New Japan show. This was Takeshita's defense before Wrestle Kingdom, where he's probably dropping the belt. Kind of had to get this out of the way with him being a 3-contract guy. I mentioned he was on that DDT show the day after when I was running down my 3 3/4 star matches. And he's in the C2 with AEW as well. So how many New Japan shows he's going to make the rest of the year is questionable. Wrestle Kingdom is about a month away now already. So I don't think Takeshita's defending the belt again. So this was his one defense to really kind of show out against probably New Japan's MVP this year in Hiroki Goto. And I thought they delivered just that. Goto's had a phenomenal year this year, and Takeshita is the wrestler of the year. So kind of what you would expect from those guys. A lot of good false finishes here, even though you knew there was no chance Takeshita was dropping the belt. They still got you to bite a couple times, which is great. That's all you can really ask for. Coming in at number 3 was the Open the Triangle Gate match for Dragon Gate show on November 3rd. The trio of Psypatra, Shun Skywalker, Homare, and Gianni Valletta taking on the champions ISHIN, Kato, and Kai of Gajadokuro. This was the best Shun match of the month. I went 4 1/4 on this, with the other 2 being 4 stars. They really found lightning in the bottle, I think, with this Psypatra faction. All 4 guys fit this trio like a glove, and they instantly became the top action in Dragon Gate, which isn't too surprising knowing that Shun is the ace. But you got Homare, and really still his rookie year. He's about 18 months into his career. Gianni Valletta doing not a full face turn, because this group is a tweener group, and then you got the mysterious El Cielo here with Psypatra, and the foursome just works really well together, as well as any combination. We haven't really seen a combination without Shun, so we'll see how that works. But with Shun, everything is just a well-oiled machine. ISHIN and Kato have really found their groove this year, and Kai's no slub for Gajadokuro as the veteran of the group. And I thought these guys really went out there and delivered a strong showing. Trios matches are Dragon Gate's bread and butter. You got the 6 guys out there so you can keep the energy high, everything moving. And you had a lot of big boys out there in Gianni, Kai, ISHIN, and Kato. Shun's deceptively tall as well. Doesn't quite work the small, quick style, though he can obviously do it. So you got more of a mix of everything than you typically get in Dragon Gate, with all these guys being Z-Brats related. You got the crowd brawling. You got some big power spots. You still get some lightning speed stuff. So you get a real flavor of everything here. I thought this was excellent. This was my second favorite Dragon Gate match of the month, and a really strong showing. I think this was Shun's strongest month of the year between King of Gate and these early matches to start the month off. He also had a King of Gate match against Genki Horiguchi, which I thought was really fun for a 2.5 minute match. With this being the only time these guys really worked a trio for the month, with King of Gate, everyone working singles, they really showed out and didn't hold back here, and then the match really benefited from that. Coming in at number 3 is Dani Luna versus Miyu Yamashita from WXW's show on the 21st. I just really loved this match. I don't even necessarily know how to articulate it. This was a small show match. It reminded me, though the wrestlers aren't quite on the level of Shuri and Sareee, it reminded me of that Sareeism match from back in March, where these two just beat the hell out of each other in a small crowd, which really just made the grittiness work. Even the crowd brawling and stuff, when they would do kind of cute stuff, like you taking that guy's coat and putting it back over the chair and stuff, for whatever reason, it just all really clicked for me. I loved the story they told where Miyu was just beating the shit out of her the whole match, but Dani Luna would come back and hit 1 or 2 power moves, which really made the power moves feel devastating instead of just moves, which I think is an element that's really lacking a lot in modern day pro wrestling. Dani Luna maybe only hit 4 or 5 moves this whole match, but you could tell they were fucking Miyu up every time, which really added to the element of them and made the finish so great, is because it didn't feel out of nowhere the way they told the story. Miyu was just kicking the shit out of her. Dani hit her finishing move, and that was 1, 2, 3, and that was it. And it felt well earned because anytime Dani Luna could turn the momentum, she would do it with such a massive power move that they really set you up for this finish, despite her taking prolonged beatings again and again in this match. I don't watch a lot of DPW or Tokyo Joshi Pro, so it was great to see these two get to show out and really deliver to their best of their abilities. Coming in at number 2 is the Dragongate Twin Gate title match from the November 3rd show. JackyRiiita taking on the defending champions of D-Courage, Yuki, Yoshioka, and Dragon Dia. This is exactly what I would expect from the top 2 tag teams in Dragon Gate. JackyRiiita is my tag team of the year with a bullet, and really their only rivals, in my opinion, is this D-Courage team. It took Yoshioka a while to find his footing this year, and Dragon Dia was really a bit player this year in a lot of ways with D-Courage's stories this year. You had Yoshioka come back, you had Kikuta's turn, and you had Tanaka's surprise rise out of nowhere where he became a dominant Brave Gate champion, which means Dragon Dia was in the backseat for a long time. But when they got back to this OG D-Courage tag team, I think it really flourished for both these guys, and this was their crowning achievement here against JackyRiiita. I think Yuki is at the peak of his powers right now, as are JackyRiiita. Dragon Dia is at the best he's been this year. He's probably not the best he's ever been, but these are 4 of the top 10 guys in Dragon Gate, maybe top 5 guys in Dragon Gate, all hitting at the peak of their powers here. Jackie can make like he does in every big match, pulling out crazy shit you've never seen before, stuff that doesn't seem possible. Rita's really gone up a level in the last month or so. I think being able to do all these tag matches with Jackie Kamei has really brought out his confidence, and that's transferred over to the King of Gate tournament that he's gone on a singles run as well. Rita and Jackie were the MVPs of this match, as they are with like all their tag matches. I think this was their crowning achievement for all the great matches they've had this year. I think this is the best JackyRiiita tag match of the year. I couldn't recommend this enough. And coming on at number 1 is the Sendai Girls show from 11/16. Hashimoto taking on Sareee at Hashimoto's 10-year anniversary. This was just awesome pro wrestling. I don't know how to describe it better than that. These are 2 in the best of the world. Saree's probably the women's MVP of the world, doing what they do best, beating the shit out of each other. You had the striker taking on the grappler here, and they played into those elements perfectly. This match was enthralling from beginning to end. The only reason this match isn't a 5-star is just as it was hitting that 6th, 7th gear, they just went straight to the finish, and it really just took the air out of you. I thought this, from the first opening minutes, was already at a 4-star level, and it slowly rose. That 4.5 peaked almost a 5-star, maybe even hit that 5-star element at some points, and then the ending just took the wind out of yourself so much. I'm not sure if they were trying to get the finish behind the time limit, or if the show was running out of time, or what it was, but it just felt like the ending came out of nowhere, and it was a real detriment to this match, because it probably should have been in the best 5 matches of the year, and I think it's going to end up being more like one of the top 25 matches of the year, just because that ending just didn't feel earned. And with a match like this, where everything was so awesome, to have an ending that came out of nowhere and didn't feel earned was just a real bummer. It really sucked that a match this good. This is a 4.5-star match that beat my other 4.5-star match in JackyRiiita and Dragon Dia and Yuki Yoshioka. But you just felt deflated after it with this ending, which is a huge bummer, but it's also a testament how great this fucking match was, that you walk away feeling so deflated, and it's still a 4.5-star match, still the best match in November. I would check it out anyway, because I don't think I can really spoil that ending. The work they do is so great that you're going to be so amped, and you're not going to see it coming, even knowing that it's coming. So I think that's all I got, guys. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.